My message is titled, Do Not Dismiss God, or better, Do Not Overlook God. And there's bad things happen from that. So, like, you've heard this a bunch of times before, that like preachers come up and say like, this can never be an overdone point at the fact that we're taking a lot of things that God has made for us for granted. And everyone says that, but nobody can disagree with that. Nobody can disagree with the fact like we're taking a lot of things for granted. And I don't even like that word, taking things for granted. Of course, everybody thanks the Lord for everything they made. I hope you do, guys. So for everything that He made in your life, we don't take things for granted, but we do overlook things, and nobody can disagree with that, because it's it's part of our lives. We have a lot of things to take care of, and then eventually we slip away a few things that we should thank the Lord for. But there is stuff that I want to, like a lot of people said that, I want to look at it from a little bit of a different side. It's not like even a perspective, because it's still the same kind of thing. Is that like sometimes we have this idea that like, oh, I'm struggling with faith. Like if God would like show Himself somehow, I don't know, like there was a miracle would happen, and like there's no way after a God would show His miracle you would lose your faith. Like there's absolutely no way you can do that, because well, if God just comes to me and like I say, break this rock, and it breaks, like you can't forget about Jesus after that. You're like, whoa, dude, He's real, man. So like there's no way around that. You believe that to be so, but like everything that can happen in this life without God showing His face can be dismissed and overlooked by us, because there are so many things that already happen in our life that we don't take as miracles, or we do take them for granted. I still don't like saying that. Well, so to prove that, we have an example in the Bible of miracles happening, and then you still lose your faith and abandon God. And that you guys probably read these verses a lot of times already. It's Exodus 14, 21, 22. I'm reading NLT. So, then Moses raised his hand over the sea, and the Lord opened up a path through the water with a strong east wind. The wind blew all that night, turning the seabed into dry land. So the people of Israel walked through the middle of the sea on dry ground with walls of water on each side. Now this is cool. This is really nice. You know, I would like to be there, because then I would not have to question God every 20 seconds about, because like how can you, after seeing walls of water split and you walk down 200 meters deep through the sea and you leave that place, and then you're like, well, hey, that wasn't God. Well, you can easily do that, because the Bible provides that little necessary piece of detail for us that makes us understand why it was overlooked during that time. And that is, the Lord opened up a path through the water with a strong east wind. The wind blew all that night, turning the seabed into dry land. Now, He did that with a wind. He didn't show up there and just snap His fingers and the water disappeared. There was no water anywhere. It was the wind that blew there all night. And the very important part of this is that it was only the Moses who spoke to the Lord and was like, dude, we're stuck. And the Lord responded. But the Lord didn't come there to every Israelite there and be like, it's all going to be chill. We're just going to cross this path over here. That didn't happen. It was Moses who raised his hand over the sea, and the wind started blowing, and then they went through, and then, immediately after that, your reaction is like, wow, that was ridiculous, dude. We just crossed the sea, and then they had this amazing time praising the Lord. But eventually, they lost it, because all they remember for that event eventually is the wind. It was just the wind. It just happened there, And then later on in the chapter, it says like about, let me see, that there was the night become the light because the smoke turned into fire and all of that stuff. Eventually, it was like, it happened, and it was going through. They didn't see the face of God. They see all of these, like there was a fog before that stopped the Egyptians. It was a pillar of fire and cloud, and he threw their forces into total confusion. Yeah, there was not God who just stood there. It's like, you guys wait there until these guys cross. It was the fog. And God does his things in our life a very similar way, is that he's not going to just show up and snap his fingers or say the word or do whatever. It's always going to be things that we can imagine to be true, but they're working for us because of God's blessings. That's how it works, and that's how it worked for them. But apparently that didn't last long enough with all of the miracles that they received to see. And now, after you say, they're like, oh yeah, definitely, if I just snap my finger and that rock breaks, that definitely would, build my faith. Because, well, that just happened. I just snapped and the rock break. And then eventually, after 2 years, you're like, well, it probably was cracked or something. That's what's going to happen. And then, like, all of these miracles, like the mountain is going to move. Well, it was just, it just happened. It doesn't, the God didn't show up and lift it with his hands. He's going to do something else to achieve the result that you're looking for. He's just not going to do it with his eyes right in your face. And that is exactly what happened here. And like, for the example of, I don't know, like things that would happen in my life. So in May, I had a crazy insomnia and I couldn't sleep at all. And I probably had like 14 minutes of sleep before me, Nikita, and all this, we left to college. We were just driving to college. And then at one traffic light, I was buzzing, like I was basically falling asleep. And the guy, like 1,000 feet away from me, I was thinking he's driving. But he was actually on a stoplight. I don't know why I thought that. But he was there on the stoplight. And I'm speeding up. It's like 35 miles per hour. And I'm already like 700 feet away. And like 500. And then Nikita's still like, Danya. And I'll wake up. And like wake up as if like legit wake up, and then yes, and then I see the car, and it's not moving. I have to do something, so I floor the brake. I turn left, and how? Like I turned left at the very exact moment, so that I brushed the paint of his car off. I just brushed the paint off. Like I didn't do anything else to his car. I actually broke his taillight with my mirror. But, yes. But you can imagine this. Like I didn't even break his plastic parts on the bottom with the main part of my car. I didn't destroy his back. I just brushed against him like this and went, like, this is the important part. I went 2 cars after him on full brake. So if I didn't turn on that very exact little moment, I would have smashed his car total. And probably myself in the best case, and in the worst case, it would be also Oles and Nikita who would be smashed in total. Yeah, and then, it just happened. He just happened to yell at the right time. And I happened to wake up right at that exact moment. And then I happened to turn literally half of an inch away like this, and then it just all rolled together. It all just happened. It wasn't God who just showed up there and moved my wheel. It all just happened. Well, we know it wasn't that way. It was because most likely God didn't want me to die back there. So that's probably the reason why it happened. But it doesn't, it would be very easily dismissed by anybody who's not Christian. It's like, well, it just happened. I was just driving there, and it happened to be executed at the very exact moment so that I don't die. And that the person inside of that car doesn't die. And then the rest of my people in the car don't die. It just happened to be that way. And it's like a similar example than here. Like you wouldn't believe it happened at the same point. But then with Jews, I mean, like, dude, come on. Like the whole fire and light, and there was as far as I know, to add salt to the problem of them not believing that God did it. In that area where there was that wind, there are seasonal strong winds. So it only adds to the idea, well, there was just seasonal wind. It was just seasonal wind. It was not God who just blew the water away. It was just wind. It just showed up there. It's seasonal. It happens every now and then, and just goes through, and they could just go through the water, and it just happened that way. So, and then later on, that light ahead of us that was leading us, it's just a volcano. It was not as if we left exactly at the right moment to show up exactly at those seasonal winds and then leave that sea exactly when it came back to its own state and then walk forward towards that fire exactly at that time. There was no God involved. It was just, it's just a seasonal wind. So why would you not overlook things? Look, I'm not dead. But during the summer, I kind of was like, yeah, that just happened. Eventually, I came back to the idea, well, there was no way it just happened. But look at this. You're going to be lost. If you, this is the final point of the message, if you do overlook what God has made for you and what kind of miracles that you experience every day, and the fact that we all have parents and not all of us, but those who are blessed with parents are blessed with parents. Those who can walk, who can see, all of these little things, they didn't just happen. It just happened. No, it don't. It didn't just happen. You can't overlook things like this because you're going to be lost. Just like Israelites were lost after they abandoned their faith or just overlooked what God has made for them. So that was my message.